welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this Cork.net and Azure meetup. The talk today is VS Army Knife Code. And if you want to receive information about the topic and some more information related with Microsoft and Azure, scan this QR code that you're seeing now, or access the URL, the AKA MS. I'll share this again in the end, and I tweeted this slide, so you can access that or just get in touch. See if I can get this to work. Okay, so the title for today is VS Army Knife Code. Why Army Knife Code? Because I think about Visual Studio Code a bit of as a Swiss Army knife. It's one tool that has loads of other tools, and all of them are very useful when you need them. And the topic and the talk about today is the importance to me and how I think it's a good tool and a good knowledge to have under your belt as a developer or system admin or SQL manager or something like that. And we'll see it after. This event is also one of the .NET Conf 2020 events. There was the possibility to have until January, if I'm not wrong, local events, and so we are joining the initiative with this talk today. So what I'm going to talk is what is VS Code, why VS Code, who is using it, if there's any community support, when and why I use VS Code, what extensions do I use the most, some reference to quick shortcuts, and a quick demo of some features, and see how we can use it, or how I can use it in demo. So what is VS Code? Visual Studio Code is a free source code editor. It's not an IDE. It's multi-platform. It's made by Microsoft for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Some of you might be thinking that free source code or open source and Microsoft in the same sentence sounds odd, but the new Microsoft has changed for a couple of years. It's embracing open source and free tools, which VS Code is one of them. VS Code has loads of features, not features, I don't know where I copied this from, including support for debugging, syntax highlighting, IntelliSense or intelligent code completion, snippets, code refactoring, and embedded Git clients, and so many more. There's loads of extensions that you can use to teach new skills to VS Code. Over 12 million monthly users use VS Code. So there's a huge base of users working with VS Code with multiple languages, doing multiple things. And it's an awesome tool, in my opinion. I used to use Notepad and have it installed on my machine since ever, and used it to open
Hello, Ricardo.
anymore. Everything that I need to do.
I think your connection went gone for a couple of seconds there.
Is it better now?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was the last thing that you heard?
I don't know, it just became garbled. Go back 30 seconds. Just rewind 30 seconds.
Okay, so I was saying that since VS Code was released, I stopped using Notepad++, was a utility tool that I had on my computers since ever. And I used it to open text files or XML or JSON or anything that I needed to open quickly. And I didn't want to launch a full-fledged IDE just to open that file. And I've been using VS Code since then, so I don't use Notepad++ anymore or anything else. It's just VS Code. It's very quick, very fast, and it's a great tool. If you want to know more, you can go to code.visualstudio.com. So that takes me to the next question: why VS Code? So as I already said, it's very simple and fast. It's a source code editor and has very powerful developer tooling. Most of it that I'm using, it's out of the box. I just add a couple of extensions just to help me with snippets and code completion and stuff like that. That's enable the development and fast development. So another nice tool is debugging, that it's also available. I use it especially when I'm working with Angular. Sometimes I need to debug something, and I can do it easily with VS Code with a couple of lines of code, and I will demo that later. It's an editor that you don't have to be worried about if it's going to crash or with a huge configuration needed to start producing. So you just install it, and it's out of the box. It's already providing a lot. So minor tweaks and installing the extensions and tools that you need, and you're ready to go. There's a nice feature that I will mention later that helps also, the configuration or settings syncing. As I said, it doesn't. I don't remember ever crashed, so it's very reliable, and it's like the tool that I use preferably. Why I use it? Because I said it's light and fast and provides me all the support that I need when I'm writing code. You can access the URL below also if you want to know more, or just search Google on Bing why VS Code. So who's using VS Code? For some of you that might know the Stack Overflow's annual developer survey, in 2019, VS Code was the first choice with 50.7% of the responses, followed by Visual Studio, Notepad++, IntelliJ, and Vim. This data is also available if you search by the Stack Overflow annual developer survey. So if you check this website, the octoverse.github.com, it will show some stats on multiple things on GitHub. And if you go to the top and trending projects, you'll see that Microsoft VS Code is the number one and has 19,000 active contributors, which shows how many people are interested, supporting and contributing to make it the awesome tool that it is. So one other thing that you might have noticed if you are reading some books or watching tutorials like on Pluralsight or Pact Publishing, or I don't know, so many others, LinkedIn Learning, is that most of the examples or great part, if they don't require exactly an IDE, they will use Visual Studio Code. This book, C#9 and .NET 5 just released, it's entirely, it's all code examples are entirely using VS Code. The exception is for developing Windows applications and Mac OS Android apps or iOS apps using macOS. There is used Visual Studio for Mac. This other topic, learning Angular, is also the whole book uses VS Code for the code examples. So there's also wide adoption by authors on their content, showing how reliable and a great tool VS Code is. So other places where you might find VS Code experience, GitHub Code Spaces. It's virtual or cloud VS Code, and Stack Blitz, which is also VS Code like IDE. I use the latter a lot when I want to try things, especially when I'm at Stack Overflow trying to answer a question and I want to share a snippet of code. I just go to Stack Blitz, pick up a template, do what I need to do as an example, and then share on the Stack Overflow response with the code snippet that people can go and see it running. So another thing that I mentioned is the community support. So VS Code is open source, has loads of extensions. And if you don't find an extension that you can use, you can also develop your own extension. You can add languages, debuggers, tools to support your development, like snippets, loads of things. Anything that you can think of, it's probably possible to do it. Why and when do I use VS Code? Well, this is easy. I try to use always VS Code, and only if I can't use it for some reason, then I'm forced to use something else. One good example, I was working with Kotlin and Java for the backend, and although it was possible, I think it wasn't quite there yet, and I just prefer to use IntelliJ for that, for the backend development. Everything else you can use, like .NET Core, or now .NET 5, or Angular, or React, or anything, Python. It's also one of the choices Python developers use a lot, VS Code. So as I mentioned, no more Notepad++. It's one less tool to have on my machine and one less tool to worry about licensing or to be installed or to update. So it's also awesome to delete software from your machine or not installing when you're setting up a new environment. The settings sync, as I mentioned. So when you sign in, it syncs your configuration, in my case, on GitHub. And every time that I make a change, the configuration is synced, and all my machines, like my own personal laptop or my work laptop, or if I just go somewhere and then install or use some other installation, but log in with my account, I will get instantaneously my settings. One example was I was preparing this demo, and I changed the theme of my VS Code to the .NET Conf 2020 theme, and I had my work computer working, so I was looking at the screen, and immediately VS Code on my work computer refreshed and applied the theme as I applied on my personal laptop. And that's awesome that every time that you change the environment, like you are at work, then you go to your own machine, you don't have to make sure that you install the same things, you have the same tools, you have the same settings. So it's ubiquitous experience, and that's also awesome. I love the IntelliSense support or code completion. I think it has a lot of productivity. Every time you start typing something, it just auto completes, even if I misspell, and I misspell a lot. VS Code always has my back, and it's there to help me do the right thing. One example when I mentioned here with Cypress IntelliSense is that on that team that I was working with IntelliJ, other developers used IntelliJ also for the UI, which was an Angular app. And I noticed when I was pairing with them that VS Code provides IntelliSense and helps me to learn the framework and to write better tests, whereas they weren't getting that same experience on IntelliJ. I'll demo that a bit later. So yeah, I already said, so excellent Angular support. That's why it's my go-to tool when I'm working with Angular. There's loads of extensions. I will show also that. It's super fast and reliable. Any questions, anyone? Am I talking too fast?
You're going well.
Okay. So what extensions do I use the most? One thing that I like to have is Git Lens. So it shows me on every line of code the last commit and who did it. It's not about the blame, but sometimes you have a question, you don't understand exactly what's going on, or sometimes you find commented out code. And I hate commented out code. It's like zombie. It's dead, but it's not quite dead yet. Still there. So every time that I find commented out code, I delete it. And I like to see who did that commit just in case I want to ask it was if there was an idea or something about it. And it's also very useful to get line by line that information instead of having to go through the Git logs and trying to find who changed that file and then that line and so forth. So the other one is, of course, Angular Language Service that provides me all the IntelliSense or code completion. The Clipboard Manager is also one that I use. Not that developers use a lot of copy-paste, because as you all know, copy-paste is like bad karma, always comes back to haunt you. But sometimes I move stuff around, and it's good to have a stack of my latest items that I copied, so I can just go back and forth instead of having to copy again and paste again and so forth. Another extension that I also have is the Pluralsight one. You can add it as an extension to your VS Code, and when you're working with some content, it suggests tutorials or courses that you can see related to that theme. So sometimes if you're stuck with something and you need some ideas, you might just go to that tool and see what's there, and maybe you'll find an answer. So I also have a couple of snippets, themes, and so forth, icons that you might want to do just if you want to beam pure VS Code. Some tools or extensions that I also used before was the Docker extension. So we created a Docker image to help new developers or people in the team that were having issues running something. So one example was some people couldn't run end-to-end tests, some others could, and so we created this developer image that had everything set up, and we could just use the Docker extension to launch the container or to attach to an existing container or running container. And it was seamless. Also, IntelliJ didn't support that, so it was awesome that VS Code could do that. When you're working with Docker, the Remote Explorer is also very handy because you can develop in the Docker image and do everything remotely in Docker instead of doing locally on your machine. Other tools like Azure, you can connect to your subscription. There's loads of stuff that you can do, like publish your content and so forth, and live share. Live share allows multiple people to join session on VS Code or Visual Studio, and they all can collaborate and work on the same file. And if the demo gods allow, we'll show something later. So
can I just ask you a question very quickly? Sorry.
Please.
Regarding the Docker containers, are you guys using Linux containers or Windows containers?
Linux container.
Okay.
That was also a reason, because the pipeline was in Linux, but we were developing in Windows, and sometimes we had strange behavior on Windows that we didn't have on Linux, or the other way around. So we wanted to have a similar, as much as possible, environments as a development environment. So we created that image and we created a few scripts on the package.json. And if you were joining the team and you needed to work, you could just run a few commands and get your environment ready, at least for UI, in a few minutes, instead of spending one day installing applications and asking everyone why is it not working, if it's working for everyone else. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so thanks for that. That was an excellent question. So the other thing that I use a lot, and I picked this from another developer that I used to work some time ago. He was always whispering shortcuts when I was pairing with him, and now I'm doing always the same thing. And some people ask me to shut up, but I just try to share nuggets of knowledge when I can. Oh, I see there's some chat going on. No questions, right? Yeah. Okay, so one of the most important shortcuts for me is the control or command if you're on Mac, Shift P. So this allows you to go to everywhere. If you use Visual Studio, it's probably similar to the Control Q. And you type there what you want, and Visual Studio will tell you what to do next or where to go. So I use that a lot. The other one is Control Shift, how do you call that thing? Backtick, to open the terminal window. If you do Control KS on Windows at least, or if I didn't change it, it will show the keyboard shortcuts. But you can also get there with the first command on the list. So if something doesn't work, or if you need something, just Control Shift P, and you'll get there. Okay, so let's see it working. Okay, let's see if I share the right screen. So everyone is seeing my Visual Studio code, right? Let's see if I can put this in one place. So I started previously live code sharing here with Andre, and it's connected now. You can see, probably if he moves the cursor around, you can see this thing moving.
So something actually interesting is, so Ricardo just sent me the link, and by default it opened Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. So it's kind of interesting. We have both IDEs connected. Hello world. Did it show up? It did. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys ever use this feature. I never used it professionally. Just but I can really see the value of it.
Yeah, it's a great tool to pair because you don't need to be sharing a screen like it might consume resources. And one occasion that I used this, or two occasions, but one particular one was I was trying to help someone on Stack Overflow, and it couldn't get exactly what I was trying to explain. So I launched live share, and I showed him what to do, and it was way easier to see and go through the code. In this case, I'm just chatting with Andre, but you have this chat here. I can say hello, but you can also start an audio call and you can talk with the person that you are pairing. So just going to go with the demo before. So I'm just going to show like the thing that I was saying, that the experience was better with VS Code than with IntelliJ, was writing Cypress tests. So if I enter the should here, I get immediately all the options that I have. This will be the asserts on this test. And this list doesn't show, or it wasn't showing back then for IntelliJ. And as I was learning the tool and I was writing the first tests, it's very important to have this kind of help, because when I don't know exactly which assertion I want to use, I get all of these options. Like in this case, I'm testing this app that you get when you start, when you generate a new Angular application. So I was just writing a test for this. So if in this case I want to know, actually, let's do something else.
You want me to give it a try?
Like cancel that. Let me close this. So in this case, I'm going to write, oops, going to write a test here. And then I'm going to ask Andrea to write something. So I'm going to say it should, and then I know that I want to verify something with text. So I'm just typing text here. What is going on? So text, and I get the available options. So in this case, I want that to highlight card contains text, and the text is example app is running. Example app is running. So I'm going to save that. I'm going here, and it passed. So it says that the highlighted card contains example app is running. So I'm going to ask Andre to write an assertion that asserts that we have 5 cards on this component. So
the interesting thing is I don't have IntelliSense, so I needed to copy the text before. So I'm gonna paste it now. Oh, actually, it doesn't work. I'm okay.
Yeah, just type .should.
Yeah, no, it's just I think I'm getting. Let me see. Yeah.
Not there. What was the line above line 4?
Was it? You're right.
Yeah, but you can write that if you want.
Yeah, no
but
hassle.
It's just a different assert.
Should contain.
That one should contain text.
Yeah, so I have no IntelliSense here, by the way. So you're the one.
Oops.
Yeah, fat fingers.
Yeah, I think it was me. Just
was it?
The comma, yeah.
I'm trying. This was working better earlier. Yeah, I can't delete the comma. I don't know why.
No?
No. But I can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you have to enter inside
my
quotes.
backspace. Yeah, my backspace is not working.
Oh, maybe because I have
new
component. Yeah. So let's save that. And it see that, oh, it passed because it contains the other one is also there. So maybe.
Yeah, so it was line 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. Don't delete that. that's correct.
Okay.
So in this case, we are pairing, and I would say that have, where is it? Text. Yeah, I have text. So the contain passes because it also has that, but I want the test to fail. So this test now will fail because he's saying that it was expected to have new component, but it has new component misspelled. So I'm going to ask Andre to fix the HTML to make it pass.
Yeah, so if I just click here on my end, if I just click here at Visual Studio on the actual HTML file. So it's interesting, Ricardo, you didn't update on your end now.
Because
like
I'm
earlier.
not following participant. Now I follow the participant,
okay.
So and I can see what it's doing with my code.
Yeah. So if I change the file to the HTML here, so I will just remove this misspelled here, which I can't because
you can delete stuff.
I can't delete stuff, but I can work the other way around. So
yeah, let's save that.
Yeah.
And once we save, this should run again. Is it not saved?
Yeah, I remember the one time I tried this, it was a bit on and off.
Okay, so it's working. So this was the attempt to get live share working, and I think it kind of worked.
Not the best example, but an example.
I asked the demo gods to be merciful, but they obviously didn't. So thank you for that, Andre. So this was the live share extension. When you want to install an extension, you go to that icon and you can search for everything, anything that you want. So SQL, FTP, Azure, Python. There's everything for everyone. It's just a matter of was a blockchain talk from Juarez months ago, and one of the things that he mentioned was the blockchain development kit. I think it's this one. So if we wanted to install this one, we could just go here and then install. So another thing that we can do is to enable, for instance, when I'm writing tests, let's grab a test like this one. Sometimes the message that I get from the terminal is not the best one, and I need to debug to see exactly what is going on. And you can do that with VS Code. So you just need to add a Karma configuration. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 lines of code. And once you have those, you can just do your test. We launch this. You need the server running before. And once the server is running, oh, I lost that. You see the breakpoints here. So I'm adding the breakpoints. Then I go to debug. And once the debugger is attached, you can see that this entered the first debug. So I can continue, then it goes to the next.
I'm actually seeing this on my end as well. I can see all the breakpoints.
So it works even for debugging. I didn't know that, so very nice.
Yeah.
So you can also debug here. So the Perl site extension that I said, let's see. So it's speaking that by the file that I have opened that I'm using TypeScript. it's suggesting also stuff with npm, and by the dependencies of the package JSON is suggesting also content on RxJS, Angular, and so forth. So this is really neat because sometimes you are doing something and you need some extra help, and they are suggesting content. So this is for Angular. I also had C# example here. And if I run this, or if I debug this, there I am on the debugger. So you can inspect stuff, you can see everything there. And even works.
There's two extensions that I really like for Visual Studio Code. One is the JSON prettify. I think that's the name, which does what the name implies. It just prettifies all the JSON if you dump a JSON file there. And the other one is the base 64 encode and decode, which is just something, it's handy as well. I find them quite useful.
Yeah, that's
also, yeah.
It's also why I stopped using Notepad++, because I used it for some of those things. And I can do all of that with VS Code. So one of the things that I was saying, so in my case, I'm using a Mac, Command-Shift-P, I get this. So from here, I can go anywhere. I can go to Git, commit, and I can go there directly, or I can do sometimes Git checkout, then he asks me which branch, and then I select the branch. Or you can also do that, compare, and you can compare the file against something saved or in the clipboard or something like that. So you can also go there. The other one that I use a lot, it's obviously doesn't work on the Mac. So also a good example to see that. So keyboard. When you type keyboard, you have two options. So one of them is this, keyboard shortcuts, and then you get the shortcuts here. You can see Command, Alt, arrow, and so forth. I have the shortcuts here. So let's go there again. Command Shift or Control Shift P, and then in Visual Studio Code gives you the last one that you use at first. It says recently used, and I can go there. So preferences, keyboard shortcuts. The other one is help, and if you go here, you get PDF. And I used to print these things and have on my desk, especially when you're starting. When you want to find something, you just check what you want to do, and then you check the shortcut, and after some time you do it like me, and you just end up using Control Shift P or Alt Shift P, and you go to everywhere.
So Ricardo, there's a question: what theme are you using?
What?
So Vinod asked what theme you're using for the, yes, specific for the C# project, but I think it's an overall theme for Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I installed this for this demo, the .NET Conf official theme. There was somewhere, and you can see that selected is the .NET Purple theme light. One cool thing is that I'll move my cursor, and as I move, you'll see the theme changing. So if I want to see how it looks, I can just change it. This is usually the one that I use, the dark Visual Studio, but it doesn't work well for demos or screen
actually
share
like
or
this one.
pairing. So yeah, I changed this one. It's growing on me. Maybe I'll keep it for a while. The thing is, the moment that I press enter, all my Visual Studio codes that are syncing will get exactly the same configuration. And since I'm talking about it, if you go to settings, sync, you can turn off, you can sync now, you can show the settings, you can configure, you can do whatever you want. So it's
I
also
didn't know about this. Yeah.
something here. So the other thing that I wanted to know was file. So there's a trick to do this. So you can do it like that. You search file names.
Control T. I think it's with the Cardinal.
I'm on the
Yeah.
Mac and
Oh yeah.
Control T showed me the shortcuts.
I think
So
Control T. It's my
navigate.
very sharper mindset. I think it's Control.
Well, this is also a good example. Go to file. So apparently it's Command P or Shift Command O. See?
So if you put a hash.
No, it's there.
Okay, all right,
there.
yeah.
So yeah, but that was what I was going to say. So you have the greater than, you have without it, you have with colon, with the where's the hash on the Mac here. So you have multiple options, but usually the one that I use, it's Control Shift P or Command Shift P and Command P to go to file. And yeah, those are the ones that I use the most. One cool thing is, even if you don't have access to install new software, VS Code can be installed on your profile on Windows, so you don't need to have administrator privileges to install. So there's no excuses for not using it. And I think this is what I had for the demo, unless someone wants to ask a question about something special.
No, that was cool. I know that for Michael Connor there, that I know he's a SQL expert, and there's a tool called Azure Data Studio, where it reminds me of the same thing. It reminds me of the analogy between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code, right? So if you use SQL Server Management Studio, it's a heavy tool, takes a good chunk of time to load, but Azure Data Studio, it's pretty quick. Now, it won't give you all those management facilities that SQL Server Management Studio has, but it's just pretty quick to get up and running and write your select top 10 from whatever table you're looking into. So that's it.
Okay.
Any questions?
So you're going to do a session soon about that, is it?
No, I wanted to give a session about Blazor.
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. So looking forward to that. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us today and hope you liked the content. The content will be available on YouTube or on our channel. If you didn't yet, scan the QR code or access the URL to get more information about Azure and VS Code, and get in touch, and hope to see you soon. We won't have any events for the rest of the year, so we do one per month. We are in November. We won't do anything else with going Christmas time or something, but we'll resume in January. So keep an eye on the Meetup page to see further events, and feel free to get in touch on Twitter or the Meetup, LinkedIn, everywhere.
Do we want to raffle the ReSharper license?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that.
I mean, after an hour of putting up with you,
I have a new slide. Sorry, my bad. I thought that one was the last. So JetBrains it produces awesome content to support development. One of the tools that I used a lot is ReSharper, and they also have Rider, which is cross-platform, or at least runs on Mac, for editor for C#. And it has all the build tools of the ReSharper. And they also happen to sponsor our meetup, so they give us a coupon of 100% 1 year any product free. So I don't know if you want to share your screen, Andre. Do you have the raffle machine ready?
Yeah, let's see, I should have.
Or you want me to do it?
I have it here. Let's see if I share the right screen. Just
Let me stop share now.
okay.
You want me to do it?
No, I have
Oh,
it here.
yes.
So
All right.
can you see my screen?
Starting to show.
Okay. And the winner is?
Wait. It's not seeing. I'm not seeing yet, at least.
Not visible.
No, it's not visible.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. And
It says has started screen sharing, but it doesn't show
Okay.
anything yet.
so,
Yeah.
okay.
Double click to enter full screen mode, something showing.
I apologize. It's Zoom. So now?
No.
Not yet.
No? Okay. I think you have to do it then. Okay. My Zoom is going to
Okay.
crash.
I just need.
I can send you the names.
Names.
There you go. So check your Hangouts there.
Sorry about the screaming. No one is in danger. Okay, so let's give this a spin. Everyone is seeing it?
Yes.
And we have a winner.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Please go to the Meetup page and send us a message so we can get in touch with you and send you your coupon. And once again, thank you for joining us today. And I hope to see you all soon. Stay safe. Have a nice evening.
Great session. Thanks a lot, Ricardo.
Thank
See
you.
you next year.
Yeah,
All right.
and have a good year or Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. That's the way they say.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. That was great.
Cheers.
Bye.